The importance of riparian areas in hill country ecology. In the hill country, we have a lot of privately owned land, as does the rest of Texas. While this is great and all, with the freedom and the property and the yeehaw and whatnot, many owners do not know how to properly care for their land. Much of this land contains areas that are very important to the ecology of the hill country, known as riparian zones. What is a riparian zone? Well, this is the land area going along the edge of the water, such as a river or creek, up to and including the flood zone. Though many people think they can care for a riparian zone, these areas are often misunderstood and abused. Among their many purposes, riparian zones provide habitat for aquatic and terrestrial organisms. They accomplish this by improving and protecting water quality and quantity, and controlling soil erosion. Excessive soil erosion can further lead to polluted waters and can prevent the establishment of stable soil for vegetation to grow. Water quality can be determined by the amount of sediment in the water and by the delivery of the base flow to the stream, while soil erosion is prevented by stabilizers in the riparian zone. As far as water quality, improved water quality reduces the amount of sediments and other pollutants such as pesticides, and healthy soil can hold 8 times as much water as depleted soils, contributing heavily to water supply. Additionally, the movement of the water within the riparian area is important to maintain the base flow of the stream. A sign of a healthy riparian zone is stabilizers such as thick vegetation and roots. Because riparian vegetation, like shrubs, trees, and grasses, such as switchgrass and sawgrass, have very thick root systems, they form root baskets that cradle the stream bed above the bedrock. This vegetation also helps to dissipate energy or slow down the water to trap sediments. Trapped sediments help conserve floodwater, stabilize banks, and return water back to the river as base flow. So, base flow. I've mentioned it a few times now, but what's so important about base flow? Well, base flow is what keeps the water running during a drought or dry conditions. Rivers are not straight lines, but are winding and curvy. The water flows fastest on the outside of the bend, where there is the least amount of sediment and the most erosion, and slowest on the inside, where there is the most amount of sediment. The more thick the vegetation, the more soil being maintained on the sides of the banks, and the more water being held in the soil. Base flow comes from the groundwater that must be absorbed through healthy, porous soil as opposed to being lost as surface runoff. It is also important to note that the thick riparian vegetation also contributes to the habitat by providing food and cooling temperatures for organisms such as fish, birds, and dragonflies to thrive. Some organisms have complex life histories involving development in the water and then maturation on land, something that can only be maintained by a riparian area. So, this brings up the next important point about riparian zones: how to restore them. Well, we need to stop excessive manipulation and manicuring. And no, I'm not referring to nails, so fortunately we can still all get our mani-pedis. However, manicuring can include excessive mowing too close to the bank, destroying vegetation, or removal of debris after a storm. Thick vegetation is good for the riparian area, as we already discussed, and debris, such as old wood or fallen logs, are crucial to catching sediments and slowing the flow of water. Forms of manipulation can include cultivating and allowing excessive occupation of exotic species that would destroy vegetation or introduce unnecessary competition, or excessive farming too close to the bank. Exotic species could include gazelles, like the one pictured here, or excessive amounts of white-tailed deer, the ever-present blemish on the hill country, and wild hogs can also interfere with the area. Farming too close to the bank can release pesticides and other pollutants into the water, as well as contribute to soil erosion. And that's right, surprise, surprise, this all contributes heavily to soil erosion. Though this seems to all come down to the issue of soil erosion, mostly because it mainly does, all of these connections illustrate the importance of riparian zones. Every one of these aspects of a riparian area can impact multiple aspects of our ecology, whether it be the many organisms who need riparian areas to thrive, or the habitats downstream that need quality water and a calm flow. Essentially, it is important to maintain our healthy riparian areas simply by practicing the underutilized art of minding our own business. Debris in nature helps maintain the riparian area and our surrounding hill country ecology. All these connections demonstrate how our riparian zones can impact our ecology so heavily, and for the sake of future generations, we must take care of them.